Hi, my name is Dr. Ruthie. I'm a professional sexuality educator and a relationship coach. My site's over at exploringintimacy.com, but I am here with funwares.com answering your questions about sex and relationships, which you can send to Ask Dr. Ruthie at funwares.com, AskDrRuthie at funwares.com. And this week, I am giving you the 5 biggest sex mistakes that I see working with individuals and presenting workshops all over the place as a sex educator. These don't mean that they're the absolute worst or funniest stories I've ever heard, but the things that seem to crop up the most often that I work with people about. Number 1, ready? By and large, regardless of gender or sexuality, I hear worrying more about yourself than about your pleasure. And this sounds really selfish that people are worrying more about themselves or their pleasure than their partner, but it's not. Because if we want to have a fun time with sex, we want to be happy and a good part of the equation as well, right? If we didn't have any fun with it, why would we do it? There could be a million reasons, but it sure wouldn't be as inviting, would it? Folks worry about themselves. I just talked a little bit in my last video about the anxiety of how you perform or about how you present or about your body and all these things. Am I moaning enough? Are my abs still okay? Did my butt get too big? Oh my gosh, that squishy noise was so embarrassing, right? We worry about ourselves or about the presentation more than about our own pleasure. And somehow we warp this idea of what it means to be a good partner. And a good partner knows what gives them pleasure and can communicate that and makes their pleasure contagious to their partner and also takes pleasure in their partner's pleasure, but isn't the only kind of pleasure they get out of it. So the number one mistake I see is worrying about yourself more than about pleasure and what gives you joy. And if you and your partner aren't experiencing a lot of joy during sex, then maybe you should take a look at your definition of what being a good partner is and how to do that. Number 2, writing off high quality lube. And I would also say high quality condoms too, although all condoms that have been checked and tested and passed in the United States are of a high quality. Sometimes it makes a lot of sense to check a few different brands and get the one that fits and feels best to you and your sweetie, but high quality lube above all. As I learned in one of my trainings years ago, the typical female might make less than a teaspoon of natural lubricant during the whole sexual interlude. And of course, nobody lubricates their own anus naturally. You buy the lubricant and add it. If you had a bad lube experience, then you didn't have the right kind of lube for your body. And especially with women, our bodies can respond differently to lube at different times of the month. So you might even find that at a certain point in your cycle, a lube just dries up or crumbles up too much, but during the rest of your cycle, it's fantastic. So you have 2 different kinds and you just switch them as you need to. Or you might find that you need a thick one for anal pleasure and a thinner one for something else that you enjoy. So you also might want more than one that way. But no matter what, if it's getting crumbly, if it's getting sticky and tacky, if it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't wash off when you want it to, if it doesn't last as long as it needs to, then you don't have the right kind of lube. If it makes you itchy, scratchy, promotes yeast infections, anything like that, you don't have the right kind of lube. A high quality lube that's well fitted and suited to your needs makes a world of difference. It helps if you get oversensitive. It helps if you are undersensitive. It helps if things are painful oftentimes. It helps to keep your body happy and healthy. With anal stimulation, it helps to avoid hemorrhoids, or if you already have them, it helps to not make that a problem. All kinds of great things about lube, but you know what? It also feels really good. Even if you make a lot of your own lubrication, ladies, you might find that a booster helps you last longer. It gives you a different consistency to your natural lubrication. So it's still handy to have around. Plus, tons of prescriptions that we take really reduce your own sexual lubrication, and so that can take into account too. When allergy season hits, I can't tell you how many more clients I see that actually just need some lube and didn't realize that the meds that dry up their nose are drying up other things too. So number 2, writing off high quality lube. Have it around, have it when you travel, keep it in your purse or your book bag. Have it with you. If you're having trouble finding one that's a good fit for you, ask a good retailer or drop me an email and I'll help you out with that. Number 3, thinking that all men and women like to be pleasured in the same way. So the way you gave oral sex to your last partner is clearly how your current partner wants it, and they want it to the same extent that your last partner did or didn't. Wrong. Every person is different. And so treating each lover like the lover before is not going to necessarily yield fantastic results all the way around. It may work in some ways, but it won't in others. This is the joy of exploring each new partner. So we can't make assumptions that all men will be turned on by X and all women will be turned on by Y, right? So that is a mistake that I see very commonly. And related to that, mistake number 4, touching your partner like you want to be touched. Teach your partner how you want to be touched so that they can incorporate that into how they touch you. Also, let them throw in some tricks and surprises that you like too. Touch your partner the way your partner wants to be touched, and let them communicate that to you and discover it with you if they don't already know. So, for instance, a man may want a really heavy, fast, intense stroking, but that doesn't necessarily mean that his female partner will enjoy a really heavy, intense, fast finger penetration. Maybe she will, maybe she won't. There's only one way to find out, and that's to continuously explore with each other. So, and research tells us this too. A lot of times in male-female pairings, they didn't adapt their touch to what the partner wanted. They touched their partner like they touched themselves, and that might not have been a good match. Frequently wasn't, in fact. So, learn the way your partner likes to be touched. Recognize it'll be different than you, and it also means you have a higher obligation to communication. You can't just demonstrate on them what you hope they'll do to you, right? Because we just have a huge gap. There's just no communication, no bridge between you at all in that point. So show each other what you like and touch each other the way each other likes to be touched. And finally, falling out of the habit of creative, exploratory sex, or even just falling out of the habit of sex at all. Having no sex can become a bad habit in itself. You see your partner and you almost feel like strangers, like you've forgotten how to initiate and have sex together. So continuing that habit, of course, sex should always be pleasant. At the absolute worst, it should be neutral, but we want to have neutral or almost always pleasant sex, happy, pleasurable, joyful sex. So we don't want to be pushing ourselves or a partner to have sex that they don't really want, of course. But working together to get back in the habit of sex is important, but also not letting it get stale. Remembering that our bodies, men's and women's, respond differently throughout the month. Yes, men, you have a calendar cycle as well with your body and hormones. That our bodies react and respond differently with stress, with the environment, with age, with all kinds of different things, with our prescriptions. So there's always ways that we have to continue to explore and be creative and try new things and try them again. But also because bringing in a little bit of fun like that, it doesn't have to be wild and crazy, but just little bits of fun are important to keeping the intimacy in sex. It's not just people who have random casual sex with random partners that may lack intimacy. There can be a heck of a lot of intimacy in that, but having really stale sex with your long-term partner definitely lacks intimacy, and that's something you can really bring back, but only if you focus on bringing it back and making it a goal together. And don't be afraid to reach out for help from a highly qualified sex therapist that you like or a good sex educator. If you find yourself making any of these top 5 big mistakes, take a minute, get with your partner, and in the conversational way, I mean, and talk about how to be a team in making this better so that you can get with each other better in other ways as well. I'm Dr. Ruthie. I hope this helps you out and learn from other people's mistakes and maybe identify some places where you can improve, and I will see you at the next video. Thanks.